What's the deal, my people? You know it is Don Tony Teflon, the Lady and Lamar. This is the sexiest podcast in the world, the Lady and the Don podcast. And Lamar, as always, how are you?
Tony, you know the answer. I'm always perfect when I'm here.
That is
Always
fun.
fun to be here. Yeah, I can't wait.
Well, you look ravishing
Thank
as
you.
always, and it's a sight for sore eyes. But as we talk about that, we do have a special guest rocking with us tonight. It is the man who holds down the Gazette for the design in the chat. So someone else is gonna have to start putting them links up because he's gonna be busy tonight. But it is the one, the only, the first time making his debut on Teflon TV is OTDA. What up, brother?
What's going on, man?
How's everything?
It's good. Been enjoying watching you the past few after darks. It's been fun having everybody on, being in the chat, man. I love it. LMR, what's up?
Hey, nice to see you here. I finally made it here. See, I bring people together.
What up to the people that are here watching? We see AK47 in the chat. Brian Tarman's up in the chat. Forrest, let's just say that so I don't say last name. Is in the chat. Kevin Cleary is up here. The mother of blankets, Nancy T. Rod Dammit is rocking with us. Maria J. Starkwalker. I love Starkwalker. I love that last name, Starkwalker. It's just perfect. It's in rocking with us, right? Carla Wade, what up is in there and everything else. We got a bunch of people in here. I said right there. Lauren's Corner is up in the building, rocking with us. So we are talking about Arya Stark, as I like to call her, the Faceless Wolf. I mean, maybe someone else called her that, but I never heard him say it, so I'm coining the damn time. Faceless Wolf, Arya Stark. And we're trying to figure out exactly in the Winds of Winter where she will end up, how it will end up. Will it be the same that we've seen in the show? So initially, we'll start with OTDA because he's first time here. Oh,
Of course.
do you think that she is going to, what up to Renee M of House Star? Haven't seen you in a while. So happy you could be here. Do you think that is going to be mostly the same Arya storyline from what we've seen in the show?
I feel like it has to be for as far as her return and like going to the phrase because she's trying to figure out the last thing in the book. So part of it, she's trying to figure out who the people are who are involved, but she can't figure the names out. So I feel like when she gets back, she's gonna have to like roll through there that's similar to the ways that she does in the books. I feel like.
All right.
I feel like that's gonna be her first thing that she's gonna do.
No doubt. What about you, Elamar? Do you think that Arya's path will be the same that we see in the show?
I would say they probably won't stray too much. Again, we're just talking about this coming up book, so we're not talking completely till the end. I see it similar, but I just hope whatever George does, that he will not repeat the same thing he did, where I kind of was, skipping through some Arya stuff, that he won't make it sound like it's, make it feel like it's forever. He's very talented at that. He will make you feel time. Number of pages, it's going to seem like years because I just wanted to not be as bad as her training. Let's just say this way.
Yeah, I know a lot of people just want to, George R. R. Martin's a great writer. I'm never going to say he's not a great writer.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the man, that's a known fact. But even greatness, sometimes it rubs people the wrong way. And I will say that the Arya thing did drag. Also, the Dany storyline did drag to me when reading it. It made me like, come on, are you just going to get over here already? Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's every stop, every blade of, she's like, he has to talk about every blade of grass she steps on, So it's like, you could have sped this up a little bit. That's just me. I don't want anybody to say, I'm not dissing the man or saying anything bad. I love his writing and everything else, but everyone has that particular taste. So let's go through a little bit of what we last seen Arya doing, and then we'll move it from there. I think now the last chapter that we got now was a sample chapter that we got it a few years back, a long time ago. Actually, it was a Mercy chapter. And the chapter was titled Mercy from the Winds of Winter. And Arya was impersonating a person named Mercer Dean, but the nickname was Mercy. And in that chapter, we do see her having a dream of wolves with blood in her mouth. And at that time, she's being watched by a tree. Now, obviously, we know that this is her walking from across the continent all the way into Westeros, into Nymeria, and chasing him around, and her super PAC, and being watched by Bran in the tree. So let's take it right there. Now, we never got a chance to see the super PAC inside of the show. Now, since we see this right here, do you believe, we started to get OTDA, that we will see the super PAC? And when we see the super PAC, what will they do?
I feel like we have to see it, and because it's it's in that last sample chapter, but also throughout all the books. She's always like dreaming about going into her wolf and stuff like that. And I just feel like the way that you said it, about how all the Starks have the ability, like it seems like that would be too big and too epic of a thing to skip over. And I think it will all depend on, where her storyline goes as to what, how she would utilize the super PAC, because there's a whole lot of unknown about the others and everything. So I can't say that I have any idea or I know what they would do, but I feel like George has to write it in for sure, because it's too much of a main point of her storyline, of her trying to figure out what to do with all the stuff in her head.
All right, Elamar, what about the super PAC?
I completely agree with DA. First, and I keep saying it every time, but I have to. It's a fact. Show is limited by time, budgets, and people's imagination of how they can portray whatever is on the pages. And George has those pages, so and I'm sure he wouldn't mind putting extra couple pages to do that. Obviously, that's just a joke, but yeah, I cannot see it not happening. And why mention it? Why mention all that? Why give us all this hope? And I think people would love it. And again, if he describes every leaf that's falling, every piece of grass that's over there, why not describe the super PAC? That would be those wolves, those dire wolves would be just perfect. I'll definitely prefer to read with or about that than about the foliage. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that they have to do it. I think that, you don't just have yourself a super PAC there and don't use it. Why Dan and Dave did not use it is beyond me. When they had all the special effects money to do it, I mean, they did bring it in real quick when Arya got surrounded by it, and when she was making her way to Westeros, up to Winterfell, they did do that, but then they just let it go after that, and it just seemed like that was just a waste. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess what they were trying to say was she found her family, Nymeria, and now it was time for Arya to go back and find her family. But Nymeria was out of all the wolves that were like loyal. Nymeria and Ghost seemed like the ones that really ride or die. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. More than all of the other ones. So I would have liked them to have shown that. I'm gonna go again with the fact that I believe that it'll be Ramsay's death. The super PAC is going to help versus the White Walkers when it's all said and done. I mean, we did see Ghost on the charge with Jorah during the White Walker battle, but I do believe that it'll be the super PAC that helps it. I think that it quite possibly, they could get defeated in Winterfell when it's all said. I don't think that they're going to win the battle in Winterfell versus the White Walkers. I think they'll lose it, but I think that maybe the super PAC can help save them, buy them time for the people to escape out of Winterfell. That's what I'm hoping happens. That's what I think will happen. But people in the chat, let us know. Now, in this Mercy chapter, we see that Arya is performing a play. Now, we've seen this play in the show. They did do the play, and I do believe this is the reason why George R. R. Martin released this chapter, because it was either like right after this play he dropped this Mercy chapter. I think he didn't want people to think that he took their idea or anything like that, because he did respond a couple of times with chapters after seeing a couple of those episodes. But one person that was in there that was special that we didn't get a chance to see in the show was the Black Pearl. And I think I'm just going to say her first name. I know it's something else, but it's like Bella. So let's just go with Bella, the Black Pearl. And she supposedly is somehow related to, the girl tells Arya that she's related to the Targaryen. So I guess that her mother, whether it's her mother or a descendant of her, I don't think it's her mother, who had the same exact name, was a mistress, I do believe, for Aegon the Fourth. I think it was either Aegon the Fourth or Aegon the Sixth, but I'm gonna say Aegon the Fourth is who I believe that person was running with back then, all the way back in the day and stuff like that. So, but when she's going down there, this is when we see Arya. She notices someone who's down there inside of the convoy, and sees that these are Westerosi people out there in the convoy while she's down there. Now, we did not see that in the show. We didn't really see a whole bunch. We've seen a couple of people in the show. They used Merlin Trent, right? For the kill there, but it's not Merlin Trent. I think it's the Sweetling that is actually there, who Arya does basically do this kill with. Now, the way that the kill is done in totally two different ways, and it's two different ways they take it. They have this Merlin Trent, like they have him like abusing girls, young girls and stuff. And this guy, we don't see him in the books. There is no abuse of girls or anything like that going on, right? It's just this guy is just horny and he wants to have sex with Arya. So do you like that switch, that the way they did that? Do you like the way that they switched it and changed his MO from a would you rather have seen him just being a guy who wanted to have sex with girls instead of abusing little girls, or you thought that it was justified for them to give this little twist to it? What do you think, DA?
I could see why that they put it in there, because I think the whole thing about him, like, you know, Arya being able to lure him in is kind of to make you feel like, well, he should, you know, she's too young anyway, regardless of what he's feeling like doing right now, you know, because she sort of does lure him there. And the way that I like the way that it was done in the books more. Oh yeah, and shout out to Chrissy, because she did a narration of the Mercy chapter, so y'all go check that out. But I liked it because of the whole thing about, you know, cutting his leg and he can't walk and everything, and the callback and all that. So I liked it. I thought it was all right.
How about you, Elmore?
I did like it. I don't remember exactly that chapter, that moment where you know, that you were describing. I don't remember it much, but as far as seeing what I saw in the show, I think he went. I said it before. It just shows my gore and love for it. He went down too quickly. He died way too quickly for the stuff. I mean, show wise, not book wise. Again, in the show, he's done a lot of bad things. I don't remember exactly if they're the same in the books or not, or similar. Obviously, you know, like I said, books don't have him wanting to sleep with basically children, because those are children. When he kept saying too old, or young, or whatever he was saying, I was just that was well done. Just by itself, not even looking at the books, that was well done in general. When he said, I want a young girl, he didn't say that. He just said too young or too old. And I was like, oh my God, that's too old. And then he said too old. I'm like, oh my God, that is too old. And then obviously we knew where it was all going. The way she killed him, that itself, what he was doing over there, deserved bad things happening to him. But for all the stuff that she had grievances with him, that was way too quick. And he did. I would have not done his eyes. I would have, you know, so he can see what's happening. Because again, not seeing, it's, you know, the fear of not knowing what's going on. That's also scary. But to kind of blind him, but not to the point of where he can't see anything. I think that would be scarier, and I would have, you know, played with his death a little bit more if it were me. But for him dying, yes, of course, it was very powerful. It was like right there. But yeah, I would just played with him. I would have tortured him a little bit more.
Yeah, so the different. Go ahead, OT Day.
I was just gonna say, in the show, the one thing that I think it worked the best is who they transferred it to. You couldn't have transferred it to anybody that was more hated or worse than Trent. So I think they did well with who they kind of mixed the storyline with.
Well, I think they did that. Number one, this person had a connection with Arya because this is the person who killed Syrio Forel, right? So I think that's one of the reasons why they put it on that character. The other character was the person who had messed with Gendry, and he was already taken out in the show. They had killed him off already. So there was no way to really bring that back. So what the way it was in the books, when she did the kill, was the guy wanted to have sex with her because she's Mercer Dean. She's a bald-headed woman who wears wigs. She purposely shaves her head bald, they said, so that the wigs will fit better. So she takes her out, lures him out into like this alleyway. And when she lures him out, and I remember people being really upset about seeing Arya and like acting so sexual. You know, I remember people like when we read the chapter, like, oh my God, she's, you know, grabbing on dude stuff and allowing people to touch her here. But, you know, she's not Arya at this time. You can't look at it as a little girl. Now, if you want to get crazy, she is a Chinese in the book. She's a young girl doing all this. But when you have that face on and you're in the Faceless Men, you're not that person. You're somebody else, right? So the guy is there and she slashes him right on, like right between his, like I would say, his genitals and his thigh, with like a paring knife, basically, like a really sharp, like a scalpel type knife. And she slices him so fast, he doesn't even realize he's cut until she says something to him. She's like, oh my God, you're bleeding. And then after he realizes he's cut and he starts bleeding out and stuff like that, she's like, you know, what's the line? What's the word like that? He goes, you need to go get me help, like that. She goes, can't you walk? And he's like, no, I can't walk. You're going to have to carry me. And that is the exact words that he said to her friend when he stabbed him. Was it Lomi? Lomi was the one who got, you know, Lomi, when he stabbed Lomi right in the chest and he picked him up with needle. You know, it's the exact word. And then she goes, oh, you remember your lines. And at that time, she pulls out needle. She had needle tucked away in her skirt. And then she finishes him off. After she finishes him off, then she says she has to get back to the play, but she has to take his body and dump it in the river. And she's like sad that Needle is not going to be there and everything. We got Christina is back in the building. All right, here she came back. Hello, Spinks.
Nice to see you again.
Great to see you, Spinks, and everything else. Great to see you. Got a great time with you. Hope to spend more time with you again and stuff. Thank you like that. So like that. So he goes out, she goes and she dumps the body into the river, right? And that she says she's gonna dump the body in the river, and then she's sad because she's not gonna be able to be this character anymore, because obviously people are going to be looking for her as that character. But this is what makes me think that it's a good possibility. We didn't see this in the show, but she could take this man's identity. I mean, she has the means and everything right there to take his identity. She's going to have to make her way back to Westeros. She could make her way back. Now it's either he gets spotted that he's dead, and then everyone starts looking for him, and she uses a different disguise, or she masquerades as him, and this goes back with him and the envoy, and everyone thinks that that's who she is. What do you think, OTDA? Do you think that it's more likely that she's going to use the face and masquerade as him, or you think that she's just going to use a completely different disguise and get back? I mean, we didn't see any of that in the show because we didn't have, you know, she didn't masquerade as Trent or anything like that. But
damn, I like that, man, because if she does that, then it seems like she'll be right back in the middle of King's Landing, you know, like she could, it depends on what they would, you know, they want to do with her going forward. But damn, she could really, she could get a few people on the list even that way too. I didn't even think about that. That's good. I like that. If they did that, I think it would be a good storyline for her going forward.
What about you, Elamar? You think that she should masquerade as him as she goes back, or you think that's you're just gonna see a pop back up in there?
You know, again, with George having all those pages, I get why they didn't do it in the show. Like they didn't, you know, bring her back with more and more faces, because that would be way too much. And they were running, well, you know, they were trying to run basically, and them packing all that would be like, whoa. I'm like, I know Arya was really slow back then, but why you don't have to pick up the pace now, like with all that stuff, throwing all that stuff back in. But for the books, I would not mind it at all. It would be really, really cool because again, George has the pages, and I would love to read about that. That's the thing. I mean, why are you going to that house of whatever, House of Black and White was that? I keep forgetting the names, but yeah, that's to train, to use those skills, to be an assassin, to use those faces. So why not use it? I would just feel like it's a lost mission. So yeah, definitely I would love to see that. And but again, I don't want there to be an explanation to the magic, or I call it magic, of how that whole thing happens with the face swapping or changing the faces. I don't want, I want it to be mentioned but not completely explained, because his logic may not be the same as my logic. And again, just a great point. I did not catch the thing about the knee slashing with, where the whatever his name was, the little boy, he couldn't walk, and then that's what Arya, they're just adding extra stuff to it. So yeah, good catch on that.
That
Yeah.
was one of my favorite lines, is whenever he
Mhm.
says, "You're gonna have to carry me," and she says, "You think
Yeah.
so?" Like
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I believe, obviously, I think that that's what's going to happen. I think she takes his identity. I think that's how she makes her way back to Westeros. She will start off in King's Landing. That's when she gets back. I think we will see that in the books. That's my prediction for her over there. Now, we'll deal with, as for the way she killed Marilyn Trent. I will say that it was one of the most brutal kills that they've had in all of Game of Thrones. All right. And did he deserve to die? Obviously, if they haven't, it was not just the Serial Pharrell thing, but the way he treated these little girls, because it seemed like, this wasn't the first time he did this to these girls. It didn't seem like he just, hey, I got a new trick up my sleeve. Let me try something else. I discovered a new fetish. It seemed like this was the way he did it. And the way she stuffed his mouth full, and he was just like, and we seen that, and this became the signature Arya finishing move, the neck slice. We see after this that she just sliced the neck of people and stuff, and that's how she gets down. I really did like the way it was done in the show. I will say it was brutal, and I know people were like, were mad about it. A lot of people seeing it like, oh, that's and when you look at it in that context of her age and everything else, and her doing that, yes, it is a little bit disturbing. But I think it was brutal, and it was a great brutality. It was really good. It was Mortal Kombat fatality worthy, without a doubt. To me, I thought it was, and stuff like that. So I totally enjoyed it and thought it was good. And as for the faceless man tricks, you are 100% right, LMR. It has to be. It has to be more than what we've seen in the show when dealing with the faceless men, because why did you go over there to do all this training just for one house? And we'll talk about the phrase right now. We'll go right into that. That is the only trick we've seen her pull, the faceless man thing, that worked. That she did. That she only used it one time when she got back to Westeros, really, and that was for this situation to kill the phrase and stuff, right? She didn't really use it in any other way, spectacular way. I thought they could have did it a better way, and I'll say exactly how I think it would have been better a little bit. But I do believe that she's got to do a little bit more. And if she starts out in King's Landing, then she has the opportunity to start taking scalps down there. And I think it's a little weird. I'm going to ask you guys this question because from what up to Khaleesi Clues, so happy you could join us. I see you here for a little while, but I haven't had a chance to shout you out. So let me shout you out right now, darling. Now, from what I read, and maybe y'all read it differently, so I'll take your opinion, but it seems to me that in order to be a faceless man, all right, you have to remove your own face, because you have to put this face of somebody else. When they describe it going on, it's the wetness of the blood that congeals, that allows the face to stick to your face as you turn to this person. So do you think that Arya carries her own face in the back? I mean, do you think she has a face anymore? You think she cut her face off? Is that what I mean? That's what I think. But maybe I read it wrong. What do you think, OTDA? Did she cut her own face off? Is that what you think, or is something different?
Well, I got two things. One is what you mentioned before about, like, some people thought that her kill was brutal, of Trent. But what people got to remember is that she's brutal because the world that she lives in has made her brutal, And whenever you see her do something like that, you got to think of all the shit that she's been through up to that point, So that's what I would say to those people. To what you just said is, it has to be. I feel like you're right. It has to be something more, because in the show, just any faces around. We saw her face in, when she's pulling off those faces and she's looking at it with her face. It just seems like in the books, it would have to be, as you said, something that was, if she didn't have a face, that could play to like a cool scene in the future, you know, where somebody's like, I just saw this person walking around all messed up, you know, and that's when we would realize that it was her without her face. That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know.
All right. What about you, Elmar? Do you think, is that the way that that's the way I read it? I asked the people in the chat the same thing. Is that the way that you remember it when you read it? That you have to take your own face off in order to attach a new face? And if that is the case, did Arya Stark fillet her own face off? Does she have a filleted face? Do you believe that's what it is, Elmar? Does she have a filleted face?
And I just had some lunch before this, a filleted face. Oh my gosh. I do love gore, Tony, but no, okay, so that I do remember it like you said it. Yes, I do remember like that. But again, I prefer the show version part of it. I don't need to be explained the magic behind it. I just prefer, she turns or she does this or she does that. I like that. When she did that, after killing Walter, with that, I just didn't want to see bunch of blood vessels and dripping, and she wiping herself up and putting another piece. I like the beauty of how it's done without the gore. Gore should be somewhere else for me, not the blood vessels. And when you said attaching that face, I just felt the warmth of the blood on my face, and it's so creepy, but he's so good at it. I don't in a book. I kind of I see that she doesn't have her face. Her face is off, so that to follow, I don't see why he would not do it like that. Once he said it, and that's the way it's mostly understood. Once the face is off, that's how you put another one on. So yeah, her face is off. That's why and how she can do what she's doing in the books. I prefer the show. I would prefer the gore to be for killing versus, swapping your body parts. Yeah.
I think that 100% she does not have face. I think that maybe she carries it around in a bag, as we've seen, but she had to take her face off. And one of the way I understand it from what I read, that's what you have to do in order to do this. You have to take your own face off. You can't attach a face on top of your skin. It has to be on your muscles and your bones. It has to, because that's what it seems like from what I'm read. So that's what I think goes there. All right, so we see another scene that we've seen in the show, because basically that's all we really have for the books about Arya. So we're going to go a little bit into the show, and that is her arrival at Winterfell and the whole Littlefinger situation. Now we know that Sansa is in a different situation, right? So this could still kind of happen, but just not at Winterfell. Now, as I said, if she started out in King's Landing, it would make more sense if she was working her way up, that she could go off to the Vale and get this done. So first I'll ask you, before we go into that, we think something like that's going to happen. Did you like the way they did the Sansa Arya relationship, the way that they had basically Littlefinger able to manipulate Sansa and them, and it was meant, it wasn't a game, that they really, Sansa and them really wanted to kill, was going to have Arya killed? Do you think that that's a possibility of happening in the books? OTDA.
I just want to say real quick that I can't see the chat, but everybody in there, I'll talk to you all soon. But I don't know. I love Arya so much, man, that I like everything that was done with her in the books and the show. So I'll say this about it, because I'm a show defender, right? I know that a lot of people have issues with it, and I understand why, but the show is just so important to me, and where it came at in my life, that I just love it. There's nothing that will make me not like it. I'll say that they should have showed more that Sansa and Arya were working together.
Mm-hmm.
If they would have showed that they were planning the stuff, that this trick with Littlefinger, then it would have been more understandable when they pulled it out. But the fact that they were that close to turning on each other was kind of, I didn't like that.
or Elmo?
I agree with you, Da. I did not like how, I guess part of it was Littlefinger. He's a schemer. That's his thing, right? That's what he does. And yeah, we already know he can do it. We didn't have I didn't have to see it again that he can manipulate people like that. I already know that he can do it. So maybe they wanted to show us again to remind us how he is, that he can actually put sisters against one another. I did not like it because they should already know who he is. At least have some notion that I'm assuming Sansa knows, and Arya should know from people. I'm sure she's been there for a while. We don't know exactly how long it's been, how long she's been there, because the time is just a big mystery. I didn't like it. I didn't appreciate it. And they kept saying something about that. There's more. They just had to cut it, or they didn't have time. Something about it. Well, there needs to be, from point A to point B, there needs to be a little, I'm going to say bridge. There needs to be some kind of connection. I have a great imagination, but I'm like, stretched it so hard. That imagination will stretch so hard to yeah, I guess I can see it, but it was really difficult for me. And if it was difficult for me to actually connect it like that, then for other people, I don't blame them that they were ticked off.
Can I jump in real quick?
You can, of course.
Just want to say one thing. See, if it was me writing, what was it in season 7? Whenever Sansa meets Littlefinger in Molestown, I think it is. I would have just had Brienne chop him in half right there, and that would have been the end of it, because he's already done enough at that point to receive that type of a sentence. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
It could have definitely went down. NYDA, thank you for the super chat. We truly, truly appreciate that. I will say that I think that this was one of the poorest things that they did in the show, and this is the reason why. When you have it just deflated all the growth that you give in both characters. You know what I mean? Number one, they deflated all the growth from Sansa right off the bat. They took all that away. All the things that she supposedly was supposed to learn from Littlefinger and dealing with Littlefinger, she lost when they put her up there with Ramsay, because she wasn't able to do any of those things. She wasn't able to manipulate him. She wasn't able to make him do anything that she had trained to learn to do. She just became another one of his victims, a broken victim. And we want to say it made her tougher, made her stronger, it just made her crueler, whatever it did, but it didn't play on the strengths that we seen that she was learning. It was like, what's the sense of learning all that stuff if you cannot use it? Especially in the way they made Sansa do it. It was like she was basically like goading Ramsay the whole time. Like, you're a bastard. You have no claim to the throne. This next baby's gonna have the claim. Blah blah blah. Why would you say that? What are you doing? Why are you trying to antagonize this guy? You're supposed to be trying to wrap him around your finger, right? That was the plan, and then and take advantage of him that way. But she wasn't able to. She didn't even attempt to do it like that. Next, Arya. When we see Arya in the Faceless Men training, one of the big things that we seen when she was training with the Waifs, and this is right in the show, was the Waif was able to tell when she was lying, right? And she kept getting hit for it. That's a lie. Boom. That's a lie. Boom. So she was supposed to be able to see other people's lies quick, but she wasn't able to see Littlefinger's game. And it's like, why did they have that? Why did they have that? Go through them trying to see do all that training, and she did not even use that skill. She was able to be manipulated by Littlefinger and everything else. Now, I think that if they really wanted to do, basically think, do you think that this is the same death that Littlefinger will get? It will be by Arya, because Arya is the one who did the kill. When you look at all these kills, we'll go back to the phrase. I think we all agree on that, but when we look at the kills, do you think that it will be Arya is the one in the books that will take out Littlefingers like we've seen in the show?
It's a hard call for me on that, because I've always wanted somehow for Lady Stoneheart to do Littlefinger, and I don't know how that would happen, but I've always just wanted that. I think ever since. A lot of his storyline with with Kat and everything. I just feel like that could be a well written scene. If they all end up in the same place like that, I could see Arya doing it. It just depends how much George is going to use her to, like, if D&D just went crazy, letting her kill everybody or whatever. Depends on how George writes her. So I could definitely see it happening if they all end up in the same spot for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if they don't have to end up in Winterfell like that. Arya could make her way to the Vale. What do you think? Is Littlefinger gonna die at the hands of Arya Stark? LMR?
I like it. I like that. That's one of the things I kind of enjoyed watching. I wasn't too upset. No, I wasn't upset about it that much. And I agree with DA for, like, again, about the Lady Stoneheart part as well. But I actually enjoyed that scene with Arya. I did enjoy it. Sansa always was a lady to me. She seemed like a lady, and ladies sometimes, well, they don't get their hands dirty. They have other people to do that stuff for them. You have different roles, I guess, and lady doesn't have to do it. A lady doesn't have to do that. And Arya is somebody who would not mind, and she's trained. So again, Arya is the executioner versus Sansa being the one who sentences. So in a way, it stayed in the family. She didn't. Sansa didn't have to swing the sword. Arya did for her. I liked it. What I did not like, and I would like to have your opinion from DA and from you, Tony. I didn't like how Littlefinger was just whiny and just like crying. Like, I understand that sometimes when we are faced with a death, our mask comes off, whatever we portray comes off, and it's us and death, nothing else, and we're not playing anymore. I just didn't appreciate such a huge shift in him. All of a sudden he's crying and begging for death. It was what's the word, it was satisfying to see him beg for death, as opposed to him always being the one who brings death, because all this happened because of him, apparently. But I just kind of felt strange, like, this man, all of a sudden he's crying for help. But again, we're faced with death, so we don't know what we're gonna do when we're just there. Our life, knife, and death.
Yeah, the bitch assness ran right out of his ass when the door came down. It was really fast. It didn't take long for it to come up. You know what I mean? And I would just think that he would have more to rely on than just his tears. Because that's what it basically came down to in the end. Only way I could see it happening. And now when you look at it, you got to say, usually in Game of Thrones or Song of Ice and Fire, if we look at the major deaths, we usually see if one major character dies by the hand of another, it's usually one of those people's family members or someone that's close to him that avenges that death, right? So we've seen Littlefinger. He's got to be killed by either Sweet Robin because he killed his mother, or it has to be a Stark person to kill him because he's killed Ned Stark. Those two crimes have to be somehow negotiated. That's why I do believe when it's all said and done, I don't think it will be Arya. I would think it would be Sweet Robin and Sansa. I think they will be the ones who kill him. And you can check my video that I made a long time ago called "The Death of Littlefinger," that I still think is going to hold true when it's all said and done. I think that's how he's going to go out. But I would have liked them to use, because we see Sansa, snooping underneath Arya's bed and finding a bag of faces. And I thought that the way they did it with Arya, like, everyone knows she's a faceless man. You know what I mean? It's like the whole Winterfell knows that Arya Stark's a face. When this is supposed to be like a secret organization, I didn't think anybody knew. But Sansa's like, do you know what she's talking to Littlefinger? Do you know what she is? She's a faceless man. Or like, no one's supposed to know that. No one's even supposed to know that they truly exist. Like, it's supposed to be like a myth. You know what I mean? So I don't think they really handled that well. You're not gonna, if you're a faceless man, you know what I mean? You're not going to go and keep your faces under your bed and then leave them there and just have a jolly old time. You don't do that. If you're an assassin, You don't go out and keep your silencer's gun right underneath your bed. You have that stashed away so no one can find it. The way they handled that with her like that was just did not work at all with me. And we didn't even see her use any of those faces. Now, what I would have liked to see if they would have had to do this in the show, right? I think y'all can say if you agree with me or not. The way this should have been done in the show, and this is how they should have pulled it off. You had Littlefinger meeting with that woman, that girl, and she was the one stashing. You should have had, without a shadow of a doubt, Arya take that girl's face. All right? You should have had her take that face from that girl, and he was meeting with Arya the whole time instead of that girl. So that way, when he gets put on trial and that girl comes forth, he doesn't realize who it is, and then Arya pulls the face off right by him, and then he realizes, oh shit, I've been talking to Arya the whole time. I really am caught. I think it would have been more dramatic and much better if they would have pulled it off like that. What do you think, OTD? Would you rather have seen like, you ain't got to just because you're on my show?
Yeah, no, it makes sense though, and it would have been like, you know, a good reveal that he would have been shocked and everything. And I remember after that episode where he met that girl and he gives her the coin, and everybody's like, oh, it's a faceless coin. Littlefinger's a part of the Faceless Men and all this, and it's just like, no, he's just giving her a couple pieces of silver. You know what I mean? Like it would have been a good reveal. It would have been, you know, it would have showed that he got, you know, in the intelligence department or whatever.
Yeah, what do you think, Elamar?
Again, the theories that people mentioned, it's so much more. They're so much more exciting. They make so much more sense the way we're looking at it. And I love that. That would have been so nice to see that, you know, yeah, he would have been shocked. And I would love to have seen that shock on his face, you know, to know that he was fooled. He's not the one who's been fooling. I mean, he's been the one who's been fooling people all this time. But to have this little girl, Arya, fool him, I would have enjoyed it a lot. That would have been so much better. Not wasting time.
Yeah, I think so, because that's what I think. The thing is, when you have people that do something in shows, at least that I've seen, like you usually have people get beat at their own game, you know, and he was never defeated at his own game. You know what I mean? And I think that we really needed him to see him get defeated at his own game. And this would have been a way he could have been defeated at his own game that he could not have seen coming, because you did hear him say, always look for every outcome in your head. You always see 3 steps ahead. Well, you wouldn't have been able to see 3 steps ahead in the Faceless Men, and it also brought Arya's Faceless Men training into play, that we would have been able to do that. You know what I mean? But instead, they kind of, I think they relied on Bran to come up with some stuff and say that this is what it was and everything else. So, because he said Ned Stark's name, you told me not to trust you when he put the knife to Ned's neck and everything else. But you know, so I think that it shouldn't have been that. I think it should have went the other way with Arya Stark. All right, now dealing with Arya, still we see now whether this happens in Winds of Winter, we're not sure, but we know it's going to happen later on in life. The Gendry situation. Let's talk about that real quick. Do you think that Arya will sleep with Gendry? I know a lot of people think Arya's gonna marry Gendry. That's a big rumor and everything else. But the way we seen her, just basically, she said, "This is what I want." Now, we see in the books that's Mercy. We don't know if she's actually having sex, if she's never had sex before, but she seems that she's very sexually active there. Doesn't mean she's done anything. This Arya, you know, it seemed like she wanted to have sex just in case she died. She wanted to know what it felt like before she died, just because that big battle was coming. Before she died, she wanted to know what it was. Now, do you think that Arya will hook up with Gendry when it's all said and done? They ain't gotta get married or anything, but if you think they're gonna get married, you can say so. But do you think that that's gonna happen in the books? What do you think about that, OTDA?
Well, first off, I'll say that who can blame her? You know, if the White Walkers are descending upon Winterfell, you know, like You gotta do your thing.
I'm having sex without the White Walkers. You don't you don't need to have a life or death situation for me to have sex. I wanted just to have sex. So
Exactly.
let alone life or death, or go to jail for the rest of your life. You gotta do what you gotta do. But yes, I agree. Go right ahead.
And I don't know if it'll happen the same. Like, obviously the show and the book are different, but there is a lot of what would you call it, relationship building between her and Genji early on. So I could see it happening. I could see I could also see though her going the total opposite way and just being a loner, just by herself and not settling down with anybody. If it's going to happen, I think it would be Genji, if it happens at all.
All right. What about you, Elamar? You think that Arya is what Genji when it's all said and done?
If I were her, sure. Definitely. I think it just makes sense. Again, we see her as a kid. We see her growing up. And but again, with time passing over there, kids grow up. They do stuff, they apparently they kill people and they have sex with people. So Arya, I'm not sure she in the show I didn't obviously see her as somebody who's very sexual or sexual at all with anything. But again, she had different priorities. She was there to survive, to not later on, not just to survive, but she had a different mission, I guess, in life. She's not about all that. Again, I don't remember exactly how I felt about her in the books. From what I'm reading, from what I was reading, I just remember her more towards when she was younger. But I think she in the books, I think she would do that, but definitely not settle. I don't see Arya as somebody who will um, become just a housewife. If she does get married because of her name, I do see that as something that she will choose, and nobody will choose it for her. I don't think she's gonna just listen to, oh, you gotta you gotta be this wife now. You have to put away your sword and pick up the other sword. I just don't see her being a follower at all. If anything, she's gonna pick somebody to settle that will treat her as an equal. And over there, back in those times, if you were married, if you're a woman, you're not equal. And I don't think Arya will settle for anybody less than somebody who will treat her as equal. And why not get some at the same time? Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think that she will have sex with Gendry. George R. R. Martin's too much into having sex, and especially putting it in his books. It's something that, in all honesty, I'm not. That's something I will not enjoy reading because I still I still look at her as a child, and it's hard for me. I know the actress. Yeah, the actress is it's older, but to me it's hard. When you see someone over the years, that would be like, to me. Let me give you my example. That would be like. And she's a grown woman right now and looks different, but that'd be like Rudy Huxtable having sex. You know what I mean? That's like little Rudy having sex with somebody. I don't want to see little Rudy having sex. That's little Rudy. I want little Rudy to be little cute Rudy. I want to see that. That's not what I want to see right there. You know what I mean? That's what it reminds me of and stuff like that. So it'll be hard for me to read it, but I do believe that will definitely go down. I think there's no other person for her to do it with but him. So I think that will happen eventually. Now, is it going to be for the same exact reasons? That brings us up to the final part in Winterfell with Arya Stark, and that is the death of the Night King. Now, in this books, do you think that Arya Stark will be the person that will take out the Night King with the little dagger? Do you think that's the way it goes down? You think that was something George R. R. Martin told them to do? What do you think, OTDA?
I think that her training sets her up to be able to do it. I don't think it'll be the same in the book, though. Definitely, because the training and all the stuff that she's going through now is it's hard to say because there's so little information about the others and stuff in the book. So it seems like maybe that George is setting it up to where that seems like a possibility, but I feel like if this battle for the, if this battle falls upon everybody, I feel like it will have to be something to do with, you know, Lightbringer and all that, because they left all that pretty much out of the show,
Mm-hmm. What are you thinking, Elamar? Is Arya Stark going to be the one to take down the Night King?
Again, my opinion changes on it like every week when we talk about it, because I just like to have different possibilities and perspectives on it, and each one kind of is fun. But I just, that scene, I was cheering, like I said, and every time I talk about the scene, I do admit, yeah, and I'm not afraid. I was cheering like crazy for that. I was like, yay, and finally we see something. It was so dark, we can finally see something happening, that. But after thinking about it, it didn't make much sense. I did enjoy the feeling I got watching it. But again, Arya, I don't remember her fighting with swords. There were sticks. She's the faceless hidden assassin who will just kill you, not face to face. They will kill you behind. You don't even know that you're being killed. I think that was supposed to be the whole thing with them. You don't even know you're dying. And with Arya and the Night King, again, first of all, will there be Night King? Will there be something like that in the books? Will there be this whole interaction? I don't want it to be Arya per se, because like I said, she's supposed to be the quiet murderer, not like Jon, who have a fight in the open, the spectacular battle. And like you say, Tony, every time, and I agree with you, and I'm sure so many people agree with you too, he did not even pull that sword out of, no, he didn't even use it. So I just don't see little Arya fighting with a sword, with a Night King with a sword, and I'm sure she can't poison him. So what is she gonna do? I want there to be more than just one person. It's I think more people coming together would be better for me, with getting rid of the Night King, if he's if Martin chooses to put him in the books.
Yeah, so let me answer this from Lady Leaf Underwood. Says, are you predicting that there will be a Night King in the books, Tony? Yes, I am predicting there will be a Night King in the book. I said this in the Jon Snow video when we did Winds of Winter predictions. You could take a look at that. But I think that it's going to be Gilly's baby. I also have a video called I did a long time ago. People just I don't know how to stop bothering me. I also did a video a long time ago called The White Walker's Monster that explains exactly why I think that Gilly's baby is going to be transformed into the Night King. So you could definitely check that out, and then you could see that. But yes, I am predicting that Gilly's baby will get turned into the Night King, and that will be the Night King when it's all said and done. So there will be a Night King. I just can't see now. The only way I see Arya Stark, but as you said, Elamar, I like exactly what you said. She is supposed to be the stealthy ninja, right? She's not the samurai. The samurai is the person who's on the battlefield doing the kills on the battlefield, and the ninjas are the one who kills in the shadows and sneaks up and do all that stuff. I'd rather her keep that role, and for her to try to go head up with someone. You don't really see faceless men going head up. Even when you've seen Jack and Hagar as a faceless man, you never seen him fight one-on-one. You just know he killed everyone, whether it was a dart to the neck. It was always something stealthy, and there was just people that were just bodies all around. But you never seen him actually do the deed because he was just a stealthy person. That's what she's supposed to be, and I'd rather see her like that. Now, the only way I could possibly see this happening is, number one, I don't see it happening with the dagger whatsoever. I don't think that's going to happen. Is if Bran somehow brings back Bloodraven's sword, Dark Sister, which I think should make an appearance, and I know that Dark Sister is in that cave with Bran. Now, if he brings that Dark Sister back, we know that Dark Sister is a Bravosi style sword, something that Arya is used to training with. If he brings that back, and as we've seen, Bran was the one that gave her the dagger, Bran gives her Dark Sister. Now she has a weapon I do believe that she can use to fight against the Night King. Now, there has to be a reason why they had Bloodraven have that sword in that cave that whole time for all these years. There has to be a reason. That has to be there for a reason. So I would say if Jon Snow is fighting Night King and then getting his ass whooped and he's about to die, similar to the way Ned Stark was about to die versus Sir Arthur Dayne. If Arya came from behind and stuck the Night King in the back with Dark Sister when he wasn't seeing, I could see her winning like that. But I can't see her, fighting the Night King and just being better with the skills at him and chopping him up or anything else like that. It would have to be a situation like that where she sneaks up behind him stealthily and stabs him with Dark Sister in the back. That's the only way I could see her doing it. But without a doubt, it has to go down with Jon Snow and her. And, it has to go with Jon Snow and the Night King. That has to happen. There's no way that can't happen. Now, maybe people will say that Sir Danny will get a hand. Bran will give Danny Dark Sister or something. Or Danny will get it. It'll be Danny to come from behind and sneak up. If some woman is going to get that sword, I think that because it's a Braavosi style blade, that the sword is meant for Arya. I think that's when it's all said and done. The fact that we've seen Bran was the one that gave the dagger to her. I think I think that Arya has to be the one to handle this sword and stuff like that. I think that's how it's going to go down. So we'll see if that is the way it goes down. You know what I mean? Last but not least, when dealing with Arya Stark in this, is what we've seen in King's Landing. Do you think we see Arya Stark in King's Landing going to kill Cersei Lannister and then the Hound convincing her to get out as Dany attacks and almost destroys all of King's Landing? Will we see that in the books? OTDA.
I feel like it's season 8 was rushed, right? So I feel like there has to be more than that. Like for her to be back there, I don't feel like her story would allow her to leave without doing some kind of work while she's there. Like she's gonna be growing and all that as a character and everything. But if she's in King's Landing, I don't see her like abandoning her list or anything like that, because I think it's too important to her as a character. If she's there, she's at least gonna try, I feel like, regardless. And if she gets, forcefully taken out of there, that's one thing. But I feel like she has too much in her heart, for the stuff that's happened to her family to get there and just to be like, no, you need to leave. Okay, bye. You know what I mean? It's gonna be more than that for sure.
I like that. I like that, DA. I also would like to add the whole face thing, the faceless thing. There were so many theories, and Jaime should kill her, or kill Cersei, and then. But my thought on it was, who has she really wronged? Really, she wronged a lot of people. But of all the characters that we know, I think Arya, in the beginning, when a lady was killed, when Cersei started it all, I think, all that whole thing, punishing of, the girls, punishing of the wolves. One wolf took not the blame, but the punishment for the other wolf, and those wolves took punishment for the girls, and again took punishment for how crazy Joffrey was. And Cersei was the one, from what I remember, saying, you just can't let it go. You just can't let it go. So it was such a huge thing for Arya. And I remember that scene again. That was obviously in the show, where we see Cersei, then we see Arya, and we see Sansa. In the way it was, I just remember that triangle, that whole dynamic where Arya was looking at Sansa, and Arya also looked at Cersei. And at that moment, when that death was supposed to be given, I thought that Arya is going to have a revenge. She's going to have revenge on Cersei somehow. And I would like that to happen. I would like for Arya to be the one who has, hand or knife or whatever, however she kills her, but to use the face, to use it. In the show, we didn't see it. We didn't see any of that. But I would not mind if Arya used a face, somebody's face, to get close to Cersei and to, have that revenge, on family, on all that stuff that happened. I definitely wouldn't mind it. It would be kind of fun seeing that. Just looking at all the characters who have been wronged, who are remaining. But again, maybe I'm missing somebody who was really hurt more than Arya was by Cersei, who's left on the show.
Yep, I kind of agree with you. But before I answer that, let me take Bridgeforth. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Truly appreciate it. Says, do you think that show Gendry being an amalgamation of book Edric and Gendry changes things for Arya and Gendry in the books? I would say yes, it does change things because my theory's always been that Edric Storm would be the person that marries Sansa. I think that he'll marry Sansa Stark in the end when it's all said and done because his nickname is Ned. And I think the reason why his nickname is Ned is because he's going to become the new Ned Stark because he's going to take Sansa's last name because he doesn't have a last name of his own when he marries her. And then she'll rule the North and he'll rule the Stormlands, and that's what it'll be. So I think that will be the difference when it's all said and done. What about you? Do you think that is a different situation because we see it's a merged character in the show? Will that change things up for Arya and Gendry in the books?
They're merged, but I feel like the early story with Gendry makes it kind of to me clear cut that they're gonna they're just because Gendry and Edric were merged in the show doesn't change. I feel like the Gendry and Arya storyline.
Lamar?
I don't see it being a huge change, but I mean she maybe how she gets there, not kind of where she gets to. I think it was mentioned somewhere that the either George mentioned it or the writers of the show mentioned it that their ending result they end up wherever they are, kind of mostly all of them, the main ones. But the ways to where they, how they get there are going to be a little bit different. I think I heard somebody mentioning that about either the writers or George. So I'm not sure exactly if that will be a huge change. But again, that's just me and kind of my very vague memory of those chapters.
All right, now we skipped over this, so let's go back to this real quick. The Wall of Frey, the Frey situation with Arya Stark. Do you think that plays out the same? Will Arya go there and poison all the Freys and kill all the House Frey?
I feel like the fact that she was thinking about him so much in her last chapters about like who was involved with the Red Wedding, trying to figure out the names and all that. I think that she has to go serve some revenge there at some point. I love what you said though about her getting back to King's Landing with the face of Wrath on, and I would love to see that play out, but I feel like she has to make it to the twins and hand out some fucking Stark justice, I feel like.
I agree with it, DA. I agree with it just because I really like that opening. Oh my gosh. I loved it. The music, her face, her evil face when she was walking, in the middle of that hallway. I liked it. If George has a better way of doing it or putting something extra or delivering it differently, that's even better. But I would not mind it at all if he kept it like that. I liked it. I liked the drama. As long, because that's our first, in a way, introduction to her changing faces for a reason that she has. I liked it. I like the idea behind it. I like how it made me feel during and after the hype of it. Yeah. What about you, Tony?
I like what. Oh, my bad. I was just gonna say I like that comment by Arya Super Stark that you got highlighted, but because the show I feel like kind of was another merging of Arya and some of the Lady Stoneheart justice stuff.
Yeah, she says that's that's Lady Stoneheart's job. I think that it might be a little hard for Lady Stoneheart to take out the whole House Frey like we've seen. Lady Stoneheart seems to be more of a hammer. She's not a scalpel. She's not surgical. And I think that the way they did it with Arya using her faceless man would be more surgical, that she could go in there and poison everybody and knock them all out that way. Lady Stoneheart's band, the brothers, I don't think are enough to take out the whole of House Frey. I think that we've seen the path that they're going to take, and that's going to be up towards going towards Winterfell. Now, when we could talk about the whole Stoneheart situation, because we know what's going on. We did another video with her and who she has hemmed up and captured and everything else and all that. We could do another video on Lady Stoneheart and we'll go through the whole thing. But I think it is Arya, and I think it is poisoning. That's something that she learned. They always say poison's a woman's weapon. I think that's the only way you could really take out a whole house like that, if they're going to go that route. And the signature neck slice, which is like her patented move, it's her patented wrestling move, is the neck slice. And that's how she takes people out. It just seems fitting that she would do that. She would, do that, then take Walter Frey's face and then kill the whole house Frey, and then say Winter came for the Freys or something like that. I like that line. So, and I think that's the best way that we've seen throughout this whole show that Arya used her faceless men training. I don't think she used it in any better way than right then. That's the only time I've really seen it where it was like that's the way it was supposed to go down and stuff. And she did a really good job. They did a good job with that right there. So I think we could talk about Lady Stoneheart in another video. We'll come back and we could do a whole Lady Stoneheart video, and we'll go through a whole hour of straight Lady Stoneheart where we think she ends up in the Winds of Winter. We will do that. All right. So last but not least over here, let's go back to the ending of Arya, her sailing west of Westeros, and heading off with Needle in the boat and seeing what's west of Westeros. Is that the way it ends for Arya when it's all said and done, OTDA?
I hope so, because it's it seems like what she would want or need to do to be happy. You know what I mean? Like her story is always on the move, right? Every time we see her, she's going, she's in going from Winterfell to King's Landing, traveling with Yoren, then going with the Brotherhood, Sandor. She's never in one place, right? So I think she has to keep moving to keep this keep this sense of normalcy, because that's what she feels like is normal in her life, is to keep going, to keep trying to discover and see what's out there. And I hope that she does do that. That would be cool to me.
Well, let me say hi to Arya Superstar. I don't think I've ever seen you here before. Thank you for stopping by. Hopefully you come back again and chill and subscribe and all that and doing all this good stuff. Thank you for the super chat right here. We have a super chat that came through right here from the Shadow right here. Thank you for this. No question under there, but I appreciate that, brother. I really, truly do. What are you thinking, Elamar, on this situation? Do you think this is how it ends for Arya? It seems like a happy ending. That's the perfect fan ending, right? She sails off in the boat. The wind is in her hair. It's just so happy. She gets to go. Is that what George R. R. Martin would do? Are there going to be some characters that get happy endings when this is all said and done?
Yeah, it's too happy.
So happy. Well, I agree with DA when he mentioned that that's kind of exactly how he sees Arya. I agree with it, with his approach to it. Now, the saying "west of Westeros," and I think, Tony, you mentioned it. I'm not sure if you mentioned it in our podcast or in the recording that we did, or was it the Facebook one that we had? But the whole west of Westeros. For me, it's more of like a phrase, it's not just because she can ask Bran, like, hey, dude, I have this trip coming up, tell me what's out there. What do I wear? Is it cold? Is it warm? What do I pack? Tell me, right? What's west of Westeros? I want to know what to wear, what to pack on my boat. So obviously she could ask him that, but that's defeating anything in the book. But I think the saying west of Westeros is, she, like DA said, it's just, she never stops. She just wants to go. Whatever is the west of Westeros is the unknown thing. And she's into that. But as far as the happy endings, like you both mentioned, that there may not be a happy ending. And in a way, kind of, I don't see it exactly as a happy ending, because again, she's one of the broken people. She was broken by this. She always was a tomboy and had different ideas in mind, but I think she was in a way forced into what she has to like. she didn't have exposure to other things, and she, in a way, this was kind of her thing when she was a kid, but she was forced to use her skills to survive. So she's broken and she doesn't know any different, any better. She feels safe in that role. She doesn't feel, I don't think she would relax at home. I don't think she would relax. She would not even wanting to have attachments to people. Maybe that's one of the reasons why she just had, the one night stand with Gendry, because she doesn't want to get involved with anybody. She just wants to, get satisfied in something in some way and just move on. Because if you get attached, your people die. So she's broken. So it is a happy ending that it would be a great happy ending when, she would survive and she would go sailing, but her heart is always going to be damaged, I would say. So happy, alive, but yeah.
Yeah, just Max says it right here to me. Arya sailing west would still be bittersweet because she can't be with her family. I agree. It would still be a bittersweet ending for her if she did. And when I look at it, I look at she's supposed to be like Nymeria, right? That's her idol. That's who she wants to be like. And this is a woman who her whole thing was sailing from this spot to that spot and moving over and marrying somebody and taking over. That's why I do believe that's a good possibility that Arya could get married when it's all said. They're not in this show, but in another series, if they had another series, that she could be, the next Nymeria and help, free a land or something and take over and rule with somebody else as a strong person on the side, like a strong woman ruler. We could see that. So I do think that is the ending of Arya, that she definitely is going to be the face of the find out which West or Westeros. I don't think we'll ever see it, and I don't think they'll ever do a book on it or anything like that. But I would like to see this Arya book of what she finds over there. That would be great for me to see everything else like that. So I think that just about wraps up well, we went through the whole Arya storyline. So we will take questions right now. We will do a 15-minute questions. Anyone has any questions about anything dealing with Arya? Now's the time to put it in the chat. And after that, we will wrap this whole thing up. Now, if you want to get into some hijinks and shenanigans, like y'all like to, all right, I can come back on tonight with an after dark thing and we can get into those hijinks. But right now, we're trying to be professional, all right?
Trying to be professional. Tony, you have me here and you have DA. How professional can we get?
I'm trying to be professional. I'm drinking water and everything else. I'm drinking water,
yes.
Trying to be professional. I'll come back tonight and get into the sauce with y'all. If y'all want to get into the sauce later on tonight, we could do that. But right now, I'll come back, with the Lady and Don After Dark program, and we can get into the source if that's it. But if you have a question, please put it in the chat. OTDA did a great job. All right, I'll let you know you did did a really good job. And thank you, Alicia Kingston, for taking up the slack of OTDA and Renee. Both did it. It took two people. It took two people to go in here and match what you could do OTDA. So you know what I mean? Thank you for all you do. I don't think I've ever really truly had a chance to actually speak to you and thank you for that. So let me say that right now while you're on the show. Thank you for all the things that you do for me and my channel, and you do for everybody else in this community on their channel. You are the keeper of the chat. That's why I always say that you are my hitman in the chat. Anything that you do, anyone who needs to get blocked or anything, I 100% trust you will handle that. That's why I say you always got the Gizat for the design, because you can shoot down anything how you see fit. I 100% trust your judgment. And thank you again for all the things that you do, not just for me, but for everyone else that you're in there.
It's all good, man. It's like I say, it's easy to support channels that I like, So everybody has so much fun at the people's chats where I'm at, and we all know that our voices and opinions can be heard, and that it's a safe place to say what you feel like, and people can disagree, and that's fine. But it's never gonna get personal, and it's never gonna get heated or anything like that. So it's really you all that give us a place to be able to come and chill at and talk, and like I say, it's easy to support great channels, so I'm cool with it.
Thank you. All right. Question from Big E says, will Arya see Jaqen again? What do you think? Will Arya see Jaqen Hagar? again?
I think whenever he said it's time for him to die and change that face, I don't think we'll see Jack again.
All right. What about you?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would like to, because again, we may see him, but it may be a different face. Maybe that's the whole thing. He may be somebody that we see she interacts with one of the other faceless people, and it just he goes by a different name because he changed he changed his face, he changed his name.
Yeah, I think it's the same exact thing that we see with Arya with the Mercedine character. She drops that face. She drops that. It's like someone saying, if someone got down with Mercedine, when Arya, when she's Mercy, would they get down and say, hey, am I ever going to see Mercy again? No, Mercy's gone. Mercy was never a real person. It's like Jack and Hagar was never a real person. So that's the way it goes right there. And Jaqen's very special because, he worships the Red God. Usually these faceless men don't worship. They worship the many-faced God and all that, but he was a red God. So it's really weird. It's a real weird situation. We could actually do a whole video on Jaqen too and everything else with him. Thank you for the super chat, Fernandez T. Truly appreciate that. If anyone else has any questions, now is the time to put them in the chat right now. I think we went over so much. It may be hard to ask a question about this situation. We did cover just about everything there is to cover on Arya Stark, but there could be something out there that we didn't touch on that maybe they could pick up on.
And there is a comment. There was here a comment from Rod. Damn it! I think he mentioned to tell the DA to watch the chat because so he can see all the love. And I just want to say, yeah, DA will watch this, but he cannot see, right? DA, you can't see the chat right now, but I'm sure you're gonna go back to it and look through the comments too.
Yeah, sure.
We have one question here. It says, when will we see DA's handsome face? DA, are we ever going to see your handsome face?
The day that George drops Dream of Spring. You see me?
Is that your way of saying never?
That could be a never, right?
You'd be like, oh my gosh, where is the publication? And oh my goodness.
If nothing else, I've bought myself like 5 years. So
5 years, you bought yourself like 15.
Well, it took a couple years to get you over here, so you're here, and I'm so very happy.
That's right. All right, Fried David asks, is Arya the Valancourt? Is Arya the Valancourt that takes out Cersei Lannister? Then we touched a little bit on it, but just to be specific, do you think Arya takes out Cersei Lannister? Is she the Valancourt OTDA?
I think my favorite thought of it is she is, but it's going to be with Jaime's face.
Okay. What about you?
Arya took Jaime's face, and you took my answer, DA. No, that was actually the thing that I would love to see. That was one of the things. Yeah, Arya putting somebody else's face on and doing the, performing the kill, and what there was this speculation, Jaime and him killing Cersei because he was younger and all that, and that would be a perfect thing. Obviously, complete. That would be like an extra treat for us. I don't know if he'll do it like that. I would not mind it. Definitely would not.
I think that she would. It's good possibility she does take out Cersei as the Valancourt. I don't know if it would be Jaime's face. Most likely, I would think it would be Euron's face when it's all said and done. I think she'd take Euron's face to do it, but I could see her taking Jaime's face. But I do believe that in the end, yes, no matter whose face it is, it definitely will be Arya that'll be the one to take her out when it's all said and done. Arya gonna take out a lot of people here. Next question is from Arya Superstar, who just subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much, Arya Superstar. Appreciate it. And the question is, will Arya meet Dany in the books? My two favorite characters got no screen time on the show. Do they get some screen time in the books, some paper time in there? What do you think about that? We got a super chat too. So what do you think about that? Do you think that Arya will meet Dany in the show?
I love that Arya Superstar's picture is remedying the fact that they didn't get screen time together, because it's just Amelia and Maisie. I think they definitely have to cross paths at some point. They're two of the most, what I feel like, eventually will be the two of the most important characters in the story. You know, Dany right now, she's got a lot to go through to get there, but I feel like they have to at least, even if it's in passing and they don't know who each other is or something like that. You know.
Elamar?
It would be interesting to see. Again, we know that Arya loves her half brother John, right? And in the show, we see that Dany is kind of whatever their love story was. I'm not sure exactly if that's going to play a part or that's going to be happening in the books, and to what extent it's going to play part if it does happen. But in case, let's say, if Dany falls in love for whatever reason with John, it would be interesting to have the little sister who's not so little anymore and really really deadly, and a woman who may love John for whatever reason, with powerful dragons. So we have somebody who has wolf pack and somebody who has a dragon pack in a way.
Yeah,
That'll be interesting.
I think so. I think that they'll meet in the books. I can't give you exactly how right now. You know, maybe we'll come back. We'll do a whole Daenerys thing, and we'll explain exactly how that goes down. I won't want to spoil that, but I do believe they will meet up, and I do believe they'll have some conversation. I really think it's a good chance Arya gets on the dragon back at one particular time. But we could talk about that in another episode. But I think it's a good chance we will see Arya flying around the dragon. I don't think she'll be in control of the dragon, but I think that she could be given a ride on the dragon. All right, and we have a question here from Miss Sweet Swag. Sweet Swag. That's what I'm talking about, Sweet Swag. Do you think, thank you for the super chat, do you think Rickon will be packing some heat at some point? Rickon in the books. Will he be packing some heat? You know, we didn't get a lot of Rickon. We got this Rickon who didn't know how to zig or zag from the arrows. We just got straight line Rickon. He would look like he was running the 100-yard dash and just got mowed down. Do you think? Oh, this is Mister. Is that what? This is Mr. Sweet Swag, right? Right. I mean,
yeah.
So.
Mr. I'm sorry, Mr. Sweet Swag. I'm sorry about that. Sorry about that. I think I said Mrs. Miss Sweet Swag. It's Mr. Sweet Swag right there. I ain't got my glasses on. I'm sorry about that. All right, Mr. Sweet Swag. What are you thinking about this question? Do you think that it goes down for Rickon differently in the books than we've seen in the show? Will he have more to go on?
It depends on what's meant by packing some heat. If they bring Rickon back to, back from Skagos riding on the back of a direwolf, then he's definitely going to get some. I feel like he's definitely got to take a few out before he gets that same treatment that he did in the show.
I wonder how. Rickon. Oh my gosh! When I hear Rickon, I'm thinking zigzag man. Keep zigzagging. They killed him off before he could do anything productive. I would like to see him do something, because he went somewhere, he did some stuff. He appeared and he was dead. He was dragged and he ran not even properly and he was dead. Again, that's show and cutting corners, not having corners or any angles even with running. But I would like to see him do something. And again, George, countless pages. He's not limited by the pages or the words he can use. So I don't see why not. And if he would not do it, then I would be quite disappointed in George.
Yeah, where I'm from, Elamar, I'll let you know that the zigzag man means something different, right?
I'm gonna have to Google that.
When you're the zigzag man and you packing some zigzags around my way, it means a little bit something different. I don't know if y'all in chat, we know what the zigzags mean around your way, but in Queens, New York, you know what I mean? If you packing some zigzags, you a different type of man.
Okay, I'll be Googling that, and I'll probably be asking if you do a show after that. But yeah, that's a good transition probably for that after our show.
Different type of man when you packing them zigzags. I used to pack the zigzags. I used to hold them down all the time. All right. So anyway, besides that, Yeah, I think Rickon definitely gets more shine when it's all said and done. They just didn't use his character. You see how they did Bran, and they didn't have him come back for a couple of seasons. And they treated Rickon the same way. The fact that we have a major major person like Sir Davos going out there and putting him out, going out there and going to find him and everything else, and with the Skagosi, I think it has to be different. I just can't see that Sir Davos getting out there and they ate little Rickon. That would be the equivalent of what happened there. That Davos goes out there to find him. When they find him out there, they just ate him. They had already killed him and they ate him, and now Davos is in jeopardy. I don't think it goes down like that. I think that they got respect for the Starks over there and respect for Rickon, and I think that Rickon will come back with a furious ending. Will he die? Most likely when it's all said and done, but it just won't be no, oh, they're gonna find him and he throw Shaggy Dog's head on the floor. No. And that was a little ass head. All these direwolves we've seen was so big, they put that little Shaggy Dog head on the floor. Like it was
that's the one thing I'm saying, man. That's what was so disappointing about Nymeria, is that they showed us how huge that she was, and it was like, okay, this direwolf was so big, it's gonna have to play a pivotal role at the end, and then nothing. Damn.
No, the Arya Superstar, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for coming through. Do not be a stranger. You know what I mean? Definitely come by again and stuff like that. All right, if that's the questions. It's an hour and 30 minutes. It's perfect. We're going to wrap this up right now. Look, we got, every time we do this, one of these streams, LMR, we get more and more people every time. It's always more. We are on the rise. So keep coming back.
Yep.
All right, so that we can keep rising to the top, all the way to the top. We're almost back to where we used to be and everything else. Keep doing these so that you can, have something to depend on, keep you through this long night of the coronavirus. We thought we had gotten through the long night with the Game of Thrones hiatus, but now we're through a whole nother long night. And we're going to do a House of the Dragon streams soon and talk about the House of the Dragon stuff and all the things that we know about it and what we think is going to happen. We're going to do all that stuff. But as always, as we go out, OTDA, please let the people know I know where they can find you, but let them know where they can find you.
You can find me in the chat always. Going on people's channels and doing little guest appearance here and there, but that's it for me. I love to be in the chat. I love talking to you all, and everybody that's in there now knows that I'll be talking to them sooner than later. And I appreciate you all both, having me on and hosting this.
Thank you for being here, DA, and I'm so glad we could have done that. And I'm sure, I know it's a huge treat for everybody in the chat, and it's a huge treat for both of us, for Tony and for myself.
No doubt about it. LMR, as always, it is a pleasure to be with you, pleasure to work with you. Please let the people know where they can find you besides on Teflon TV.
Thank you for adding that on Teflon TV, and we are podcasts and
you're handcuffed. Like I got you like handcuffed and like
oh my god
in Teflon TV like that.
We lost the key, right? No, and also like DA said in the chats, I always, whenever my day is not going great, when I get in the chats, it's hanging out with family, chosen friends. We choose to be this community. We choose to be part of this. So it's always so great being there. So I'll be in the comments. Usually, right now life is calmer but still busy, so I'm trying to catch all the live streams that are there. So I'll be there, and on my channel whenever we pick up doing the night switch and maybe looking into some movies, kind of mirroring with AK and Lauren. We're doing a lot of fun, just making not making fun of movies, but kind of like looking at movies with like a different angle a little bit, just kind of having fun. Doing that, and here on the channel and in the chat and chatting with all of you there.
That's what it is. You know what I mean? So if you can find me, it's always right here at Teflon TV. I really don't go off the range at all. Usually I'm just here. I don't really go on other people's channels, but I am doing a podcast with Phil, the Issues Guy, on the Golden Girls. getting ready to get that done. So you could just keep checking back on Phil or talk to Phil about that, exactly how we're going to do that. And, we'll see what happens. I'll see if I can get someone to rock. Maybe I'll come back tonight, maybe about 10 o'clock or so. See if I can get Elamar to come out and do a little after dark for me, like an hour or so that she's not building. Maybe bring Bridge on or something like that. We'll see what we could do. So if you like the way we do this, please thumbs up this. Please spread this across the realm. And please subscribe. And until next time, you know who it is. Peace. Elamar.
And stay sexy.